This brought us to the One Plus, which I want to talk about next, a program founded by the Public Architecture Group in San Francisco. And they began with a simple idea: if everybody in the design field donated 1% of their billable hours to a nonprofit cause, then we could really make a difference.
And the more food that we grew at home, well, actually the more they were willing to actually consume it. So my message to you is get out, experience nature, because that is the source of everything that we consume.
WeHo is the first city in the state to pass a mandatory green building ordinance. WeHo adopted a climate action plan in 2011 to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. WeHo recently reaffirmed its commitment to sound environmental policies and mitigating the city's impact to climate change.
There are 5 easy principles when we design buildings: high insulation, thermal breach free, high performance window, airtight envelope, and continuous ventilation. But the passive house standards is not only for single family houses. It's for all type of buildings. So let's do it in LA.
And how can we start planning for the places to make a green neighborhood that makes sense from an infrastructure perspective? Because ultimately we want the streets that connect us and the places that define us to bring food closer to us, those who are consuming it in our cities.
All right, so here's some benefits of Net Zero Plus: reduce energy consumption, carbon emissions. So we're responsible now for curriculum development to make sure that we can replicate what we did in the City of Commerce and push it across the U.S.
Our members helped to start Seek La Via, just started the bicycle kitchen in the kitchen of one of our apartment units. And so another thing that we do is a lot of traffic calming strategies. And one of them is to have dinner in the street. Kids, we call this car retraining exercises. Cars need to know that we are officially a shared street.
We've been working on building an artist in residence program. So for those of you who don't know our campus, we have a 60,000 square foot innovation campus in the Arts District. But my dream would be that after 5 or 10 years, we have an amazing collection of art focused on climate change that not only can be shared with the community here in LA, but that can travel around the city, around the country.
The restorative effects of landscape and nature in communities, especially public housing communities, where people have shown reduced criminal behavior, reduced stress, increased connection to community, and increased self-esteem.
My argument to you is that buildings are invisible. What does this mean? It means that though we care deeply about the fair tradeness of our coffee, we legitimately do not care very much as a population what our buildings do to us. I would argue to you that we need to stop talking to each other, that the green building movement still hasn't gone mainstream to the most part, and that this is a problem. This is what's going to keep us from actually achieving our goals.
We're building for the new generation, we're planning for the new generation. The new generation has to also be engaged in that process and ready to take up the mantle, and looking at how students can learn from this and also find their trajectories into making more of these green buildings, both for knowing how to do it and also meeting people who do it professionally.
So let's reach into our bag of tricks of bumper stickers and certifications and talk about LEED, talk about WELL, talk about eco districts and so forth, and pull from those. And we don't really care about the bumper stickers. What we care about is our toolkit to get the job done. So.
The idea here is to create the eco warriors of tomorrow. We hope we can inspire the next generation, especially those from disadvantaged communities, to become the future stewards of the earth.
So what we're proposing is a marginal increase in density in urban design that makes people, and urban design that makes people happy.
But how do we integrate nature or plants with buildings? We're really using the actual trees themselves as the structures that people can be close to and utilize for their personal comfort.
And so what we're learning is that preparedness helps, but also it's really about community preparedness. That this creates an opportunity for community resilience that doesn't just show up all of a sudden in a disaster, but is something that we can build on and work with every single day, makes lives better, and solve all these other problems as well. And that we as a green building movement, with all of the skills in how to change status quo and how to change industry standards and how to engage people, have a role to play.
Taking literally embedding equity and economy in our environment to create communities and trying to think about what that really means. Today he talked about the relationship of the plant to architecture, and I think that we might want to think about the relationship of architecture to plants.
So this is about creating jobs, and increasing time equity, which can have a synergistic effect on equity, economy, and environment.
Prostruction is the opposite of construction. It's building the way nature does, using nature's technology. Switch from cut, slash, and burn to grow, regenerate, and breathe, the same way that nature builds. That's what's needed. That's what we have to do. Who's with me?